We're here at the IP and Innovation Conclave by ET Legal World. With me is Mr. George Thomas. He's the Global Chief Information Officer at JLL, which is a large real estate firm. They're invested in a lot of GCCs in India, ground up, as he said at our conference. Firstly, George, how was your experience at the Conclave?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me at this conclave. I had great fun being here today, and the panel that you had me on, it was a privilege to be on there with the others, and it was a very good discussion.
Awesome. And now to the harder stuff. I really want to know, when you spoke about being invested in GCCs in India, a large part of that is going to be technology transfer in the future, because India also looks up to move up the value chain in the sense of technology being the new currency and data being the new currency. So what are the impediments to that today in terms of our trade agreements or in terms of how we get IP into the country, and what needs to change?
Yeah. What's happening here in India is no different from our experience previously in certain other geographies. Like we have the GDPR in EMEA, we have emerging regulations in the western part of the world as well. We see some of similar patterns in Australia. So first of all, I'll say these are not things that are going to be headwinds that cannot be overcome. We are definitely going to be able to overcome those things and continue our great growth in investments in GCCs in India. And it will also continue to generate great innovation for us from here. I will also say that as the environment that we're moving into requires a large amount of control on your innovation roadmap, which then requires you to have large capability centers in different parts of the world. And we're here in India, so we'll talk about India. We'll need captive ownership of those centers to be able to make the progress we'd like to make, and which is why we've also built our own. It helps us build things like the foundation of IP integrated into the build because it's our own. We get to build the philosophy of IP control into the employees that we're hiring, because IP control is as much a cultural philosophy as it is steps that we need to take. And therefore, as we hire our own employees as opposed to using outsourced providers, we're able to have larger influence on that and build that cultural alignment right from the get-go. And last but never the least, like I said earlier, it just enables us that opportunity to pivot, right? When we have thousands of our own employees that are working on innovation, right, we are able to read the success or the failure of that very quickly and pivot as required. And doing that when you have your own colleagues in your captive environment is a lot more meaningful and fast, right, as opposed to controlling that when an outsourced provider is giving you that service.
And if I put you on the spot quickly, what's most important for growth? Business buy-in, culture buy-in, like you said, or regulatory buy-in?
Well, that's a really tough one. So for the success of a company, I believe there's really three parts to it, right? You've got to keep your customers really happy, right? Very, very important. You've got to keep your employees very happy, which is very, very important. And then you've got to keep your investors and your shareholders very happy as well, right? Very, very important. So the three of these things need to move forward in order to say that a strategy.
But if I may push you for what do you think, in your personal opinion, is something that's most key here out of these? Is the key out of these three? I get that all three are important, and I buy that. But what's the priority list here among these three?
They all contribute towards success. I mean, it is very, very difficult to rank order these things, right? Because you can only get, you got to be careful because you can get that answer really wrong, right? And that's why I hedge against, all these three things have to move forward in unison because you cannot drop one for the other because we're a listed company, right? Very different answer perhaps for a privately held company, but when you're a listed company, you've got your customers, you've got your employees, and you've got your shareholders, and if the three don't come together, and it's a tick, a dotted tick at least in all the three boxes per particular strategy, then it's hard to move that strategy forward.
George Thomas, everyone. Thank you for your time, George.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.